We have a news alert from Washington tonight. A federal grand jury has indicted former President Donald Trump in connection with the January 6 Capitol riots. It is the third criminal case brought against Trump as he tries to reclaim the White House. And tonight, he says it's all a witch hunt. Fox 13's Craig Patrick is here with us tonight. So, Craig, what do we know about these latest charges?
Well, some new details spelled out in this 45-page indictment, which was just released to the public a couple of minutes ago. The indictment basically charges the president with 3 conspiracies and 4 different crimes that, again, all relate to circumstances surrounding January 6th, the Capitol riots. The indictment begins by stating, despite having lost, the defendant, in this case former President Trump, was determined to remain in power, and therefore, again, according to the indictment, the accusation, he spread lies that the election was stolen and that these claims were false and that the defendant, Trump, knew that they were false. So again, 3 conspiracies according to the indictment. 1, to defraud the nation of the United States, our government. A 2nd, to obstruct an official government proceeding. That would be the certification of the 2020 election results in the Electoral College. And then the 3rd, in the course of doing that, to deprive people of their civil rights as such. And with that, the indictment specifically states each of these conspiracies, which built on the widespread mistrust the defendant was creating through pervasive and destabilizing lies about election fraud, targeted a bedrock function of the United States federal government, the nation's process of collecting, counting, and certifying the results of the 2020 presidential election. So 3 conspiracies, though 4 crimes. 1 charge or indictment would be a count of conspiracy to violate civil rights of people involved. 2, conspiring to defraud the government. 3, of conspiring to obstruct the certification of the results, and 4th, of actually obstructing the results. The obstruction charge, if convicted, that's a big if, but if convicted, would carry up to 20 years in prison. Each of the conspiracy charges up to 5 years in prison. That would be up to 35 years in prison if convicted and fully sentenced on all charges. The indictment also mentions that there are 6 co-conspirators, but they are not named in this 45-page indictment. It's not clear. They certainly could be charged as a later step, as we saw in the prior indictment in South Florida. That remains to be seen, or to what extent they may determine that they can cooperate with federal investigators. Again, that's going to be one loose end we'll continue to chase down. This is some 8 months after the special counsel, Jack Smith, was appointed to investigate the former president's dealings, both with classified documents in which he was previously indicted, and of course now conduct surrounding the Capitol riots. This would be the 3rd indictment in the course of 4 months, including also the New York case involving hush money payments separate from these federal charges. We don't know for sure which judge will be presiding over this case, but there's an indication that it would be Tanya Chutkan, because those initials are on this indictment. She was appointed by President Obama in 2014.
Craig, I want to ask you, before we let you go, we know with some of these previous indictments that the former president faced, that we saw him actually go up in the poll numbers. How soon do you think we'll know what, if any, impact this latest indictment will have on his poll numbers?
Potentially some, perhaps within a day with some instant polling, but to truly get a gauge of what impact this may have on the president's political standing, you really need to give that at least 3 to 4 days when polling goes out in the field and when people are aware of the indictment and more of the specifics of it, to get a better sense of whether this may weigh on the president's standing in the Republican race. But so far, we certainly have not seen that in the prior indictments. If anything, his stock went up among Republican voters. In terms of the details and whether this will move the needle, we'll find out by the end of this week.
All right, Craig Patrick live in our newsroom tonight. Craig, thank you.
Thank you.